hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. So today I just kind of wanted to have like kind of a sit down planner and journal chat. I did have like kind of a collection of things on my mind this week. And I thought it might be fun to just kind of sit down and chat about them for a little bit. So that's what this is. I think the first thing that I wanted to chat about a little bit and just kind of like share my thoughts and experience on is my traveler's notebook. So I recently had the experience of finishing my very first traveler's notebook insert. I have some thoughts on this, and I haven't really heard anyone mention this before, so it might just be a me thing. It's very likely just a me thing, but I found that I do have one small issue with the traveler's notebook that like I don't love, and I didn't really think that it would be a thing that I wouldn't love. There are lots of things I do love. I feel like I should start with that. I love the size, I love the cover, I love the look and feel of the cover. I love the flexibility of it and the ability to add different inserts into it. I love the flexibility of it and just generally how it looks and feels. It's a comforting book for me. However, I found that there is one thing that doesn't exactly work so well with my brain in particular. So when I finish an insert, I take it out and I replace it with another one, right? However, I am someone who is like when things are out of sight, they're out of mind. And part of the reason that I journal and I write is so that I can like see my memories more often and I can flip through those things. And if I take out the insert that I was just in for a month, I don't have that anymore. I feel like I just sailed off the edge of the world or something like that. Like my past is just gone. I know, obviously I know it's not actually gone. I know I can just pick up the insert and look again, but I do find that I'm like, I don't know how to phrase this, but like I'm interacting with it less. I'm not flipping through those pages anymore because it's not like, it's not in front of me. It's not, you know, like in my book anymore because I've had to replace it with another insert. So I think that is probably my first and maybe only complaint about the traveler's notebook. And I kind of decided to fix that by like just putting a larger book in there. So I did some things and I realized these things may be shocking to some people, but they made sense to me. So what I have in here right now is my Hobonichi cousin, which I have cut up to fit in a traveler's notebook. Yeah, so my Hobonichi cousin, and I guess I should back up for a second on that. My Hobonichi cousin was just not working for me this year. The paper was not really allowing me to like journal and memory keep in the way that I wanted to. I was having a really hard time using most art supplies on there, like markers, a lot of my inks, stuff like that. I was having a hard time sticking in photos or anything. And it was just a big book that I wasn't able to use in the way that I had intended to use it. And it was kind of just sitting there and I didn't know what to do with it. And then, you know, I ran into this issue with my traveler's notebook where I was like, I wish I had a larger book for this. And I kind of just figured, you know what, instead of buying another thing, let me try to repurpose the thing that I already have that's not working, and make it fit something else that I currently need. So that's the story behind that. And I do realize that the act of cutting up a, you know, kind of expensive journal like that will probably, you know, a lot of people might not agree with that. But from where I was standing right now, it just kind of felt like, you know what, this is not getting used. And if I cut this down to a traveler's notebook size and put it in here and use it how I've been using my insert, it will get used, because the paper will work for that just fine. Like that won't be an issue for me. And then also just to clarify, once I fill this Hobonichi cousin up in here, I will not purchase another Hobonichi Cousin and cut it up to put in here. I would probably just purchase, I think Sterling Ink has like a larger, I think they call it their N1 size, which is basically like a traveler's notebook. I would just get something like that and put it in here. But yeah, the logic behind this was I already have something, it's not getting used, and I can make it work in here. So that has been my experience with the Traveler's Notebook so far. And yes, this is my cut up Hobonichi Cousin in here. What I ended up doing is I took off the months pages at the front and the weeks pages at the front, as well as the pages that I had already journaled in, which were like, there weren't a lot of them. There were really just a few entries up front that I wanted to preserve. So I have those all in a separate booklet that are like preserved elsewhere. And this is just all of the blank paper that was left in there that was just kind of just sitting and not getting used. And then most of the writing in here is just really like, this is not a space where I decorate or anything like that. I mostly use this space as a kind of like jotting down notes throughout the day, as like a captain's log. I'll write down ideas as I have them, events or anything notable that I just feel like writing down. And then I'll mark the time, and that's really it. I don't decorate in here, so there's no need for me to stick anything down or use art supplies, anything that would give this paper any trouble, you know? That's not an issue. It really just needs to handle pen, and it does that fine. It's been pretty decent with that. And I like having this in here instead of a like just insert, because it's a larger book and it'll stay with me longer. Because like I said, I am someone who really likes to flip back through previous pages. And if I am like constantly switching out inserts like once a month, which is about how long it took me to fill up this insert here, then I won't have the ability to do that as much as I would like. So yeah, that has been the story of the Traveler's Notebook for me. I was really kind of surprised that this was an issue for me, I guess. I kind of thought that getting a new insert would actually just be really exciting for me, because, I don't know, it's new, I can decorate the cover again, right? Like, I just thought it would be an exciting event. But instead what I found was I actually just didn't like leaving behind my old insert. Otherwise, I still love it. I think this will fix my problem. I think this will fix my issue. And yeah, I love it. I usually keep a pen clipped in here so that I can have it on me all the time. And yeah, it pretty much comes around with me like this. Like I said, it's kind of just a comfort book. Just the feel of it, the size. I love this size, I think. And yeah, I think as long as I'm not like losing my history on like a monthly basis, I think I will continue to be fairly happy in here. I suppose another way of fixing that would be to have kind of like a weekly insert or a monthly insert, like a longer term insert that I can keep in here to kind of like connect to the past a little bit more, and span a longer range of dates. However, I do feel like I put most of my writing and most of myself in my like kind of just daily spreads kind of thing, like in these captain's logs that I've been doing. So when I have to put those aside for a new insert, I really feel like I'm losing something personally. But yeah, again, a big part of why I do this is truly just memory keeping. And I do find that like flipping through those pages more often and interacting with those memories more often helps me remember them more. So yeah, that was something that I kind of felt like I was missing. But this was my first time actually finishing an insert, so this is my first time experiencing it. So I'm kind of still learning, I guess. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is I got a new pen. I was very kindly sent a fountain pen from BENU, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I've been like patiently waiting to like ink it up and use it for the first time, while I film. I did already open it, but I am kind of recreating the magic a little bit. So this is the pen, and then it does also come with an ink cartridge. It looks like it's a blue ink cartridge, so I can also use that, although I'm pretty sure there's also a converter in here. And I do have some ink that I would like to use. I think I might actually just go ahead and ink it up with my carbon black ink. I do really like this. It's like a super dark black and it's waterproof, so I can highlight and underline and color things in, or you know, it's just a nice ink. It's a basic ink and I use it pretty often. But here's the pen, and yeah, it's gorgeous. This design here is called Forest Pond, and it has the little koi fish on it and the lily pads and the blue like sparkly flecks in there. I love it so much. I love the colors on this one. It also feels pretty comfortable. I haven't actually written with it yet, but I really like the grip actually. The grip is really nice. Okay, I'm gonna get my TWSBI just because I want to compare it a little bit. So I did get mine in a fine because I do prefer a little bit finer nib, and the nib is a little bit longer than my TWSBI, I suppose I will say, which I think will actually be comfortable for me, like in terms of writing. It is gorgeous. So I'm very excited to use this. I will ink it up and then I can finally write with it after waiting for what feels like a really long time. So let's see, how do we ink? Okay. I'm pretty sure there's a converter in here. Yes, there's a converter in here as well. Is it a twist? Yeah, it's a twist. Oh, that's nice. Okay, and I ended up inking it up with the carbon ink. As you can see, it's all over my fingers. Yeah, this is actually the perfect nib size for me. I really, really like writing with this. It has like a very satisfying sound, which I don't feel like I get from my TWSBI or like any of my other fountain pens for some reason. I don't get that like auditory feedback while writing, so I really, really enjoy that. I like how it glides on the paper. This is MD cream paper, and there's like a little bit of feedback, but not too much. It's still fairly smooth, I feel like. Yeah, this is gorgeous. I'm so excited to use this. Thank you so much, BENU, for the absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pen. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was just how bad my journal hopping has been this year, and planner hopping a little bit, but the thing I'm really feeling right now is the journal hopping. And I think more and more I am starting to just have this desire to just commit to a book, like maybe even just kind of one book. Like I've been very scattered this pretty much entire year with my journaling. I started in my Hobonichi Cousin and pretty quickly found that the paper in there was just not really working out very well. And then I don't even know, I didn't really immediately go to something after that. I kind of was just like in this state of limbo for a little bit. And I suppose my captain's log and traveler's notebook kind of like was the glue that was kind of like holding that together for me for a little bit. Even when I didn't have like a very official journal space, like that was the place where I was still writing on a regular basis. And then I kind of came to the conclusion that I wanted to be in a 1 day per page book again, because I felt like I was missing that in my system, and I was really missing that from last year. So I decided to go smaller and try out an A6 size for a while. And I did enjoy that for a little bit, but fairly quickly I found that A6 is actually a little bit too small for me. I was running out of space to write a little too often. And I did really enjoy this book, but I do feel like it's just a little bit too small. There were some pros to it. It was really easy to keep up with. Filling out a spread does not take long. However, I really didn't feel like I had enough space to write. And there were like quite a few days where I had more to say and I was out of pages already. So I'm not sure exactly how I will use this book in the future. I think I'm actually gonna move back up to my A5 again and give that another try. I think part of the reason I was having a bit of a hard time in a larger size journal, like in this A5 size, and why like it was taking me so long to fill out a spread is I think I had gotten to a point where I was putting too much pressure on how the spread looked. I think what was happening was I was becoming a little bit too concerned with like the, I guess, outcome of the page, like how the page looked at the end, which is really silly because that's honestly not the real reason why I journal. Like I like decorating pages, right? And I enjoy, you know, adding things to them. I enjoy drawing on them. I like decorating pages, right? I like adding stickers and stuff. So, you know, trying to make the page look nice is part of the fun. That's part of my creative expression. That's part of why I do it. But I think I was missing like this other part, like the fact that it's also just, it's there for my memory keeping. It's there for my thinking on paper. And I don't know, I feel like those other needs, those very important needs, were kind of getting like overshadowed by this like desire to have the pages look nice, if that makes any sense. Putting that kind of pressure on myself to make every page look nice was kind of stopping me from using my journal in the first place. And I felt like I was kind of just missing out on like important memory keeping type things. And that was kind of creating a bit of a barrier for me, in that I didn't want to start journaling unless I had enough time to devote to the page to make it look nice or something like that. I don't know. I think that's what was happening in my brain. So I'm trying to pull back from that a little bit. Yeah, okay. So I think that was a really long speech, but I have basically come back to my Midori codex. And all of this to say, I'm hoping that me kind of removing that barrier for myself of like putting too much pressure on the page will help me to like better connect with my book, I suppose I should say. Because I haven't really felt like I've connected with any book this year. It's been a bit of hopping all around, and I haven't really settled anywhere. And I'm at this point in the year right now where I honestly just want to settle. I want to have a space that feels like my journaling home again. And I think I have decided that the Midori Codex is my book for that. Mostly because the paper can just handle anything that I throw at it, which is why I loved the Hobonichi Cousin so much last year. But I can glue as many things in here as I want. I can use any pens that I want, any markers that I want. I can use paint. Yeah, this book can basically handle any material that I throw at it. So that's pretty much why I'm choosing this. But yeah, honestly, I got this book and I took a very long break. I was very excited when I first got it. And I really liked my like first like page that I did in here, first couple of pages really. And then I just stopped. I just stopped using it for some reason. And I think because in my brain, I felt like filling out a spread was going to take too long. I think because I was doing a lot of decorating and arranging things on the page, and it ended up being very time consuming. And I also had this habit of like filling up a full spread, like when I sat down to journal, rather than just doing one page. Like I did that here, I did that here. I didn't even finish this one. I think I finally stopped doing that here. But yeah, I had this habit of doing the entire spread all in one sitting because I wanted it to look cohesive, which ended up making it even more time consuming to do a spread, which meant that I was even less likely to pick it up and actually journal in it. But yeah, I took a very long break in here. I think, so this was May 29th. This was maybe the next day. And then I didn't come back in here until June 21st. I didn't use it. I was in here for a lot of that time, but I found myself just not reaching for this book at all. But I have since picked it back up, and I've been in here pretty regularly for the last few days, and I'd like to keep that up. But yeah, I think I'm ready to settle into a book and connect to one journal again instead of being so scattered around. I will say I do feel like I really learned quite a bit about myself in my time kind of hopping around and trying out different journaling formats. But I think I have returned to the fact that I like A5. I actually do like A5. I like journaling every day, but also not with any pressure. I think those are the ideal journaling circumstances for me. And I also really like a book where I can kind of glue as much as I want to, use any materials, basically where I just don't have to worry about the paper. And I know that the book will hold up. So that's why I ended up with Midori paper. The Midori codex is what I have. I did start to decorate the cover though. This is a picture of Mount Rainier that I took. And then I also have a ferry ticket on here. And I want to decorate it more. This is just what I have so far, and I don't have anything on the back. I don't know why I've been so slow to decorate this book, but I finally added at least a little something on it so it's not completely blank. But yeah, this is what I have so far. And then the last little thing that I wanted to talk about is my planning. So I've talked about this a little bit on the channel, but for most of this year, and a good chunk of the end of last year, I was in a rings binder for planning, and that's been pretty good. It hasn't been perfect, but I will say as far as analog planning goes, the rings has always been the best fit for me in terms of paper planning. However, I think for the time being, I am actually going to start doing my planning digitally. I set up a Notion page for myself this last week. I am someone who really benefits from having structure in their planner and in their to-do lists. It's easier for me to deal with a to-do list if it's organized, I guess, and not as chaotic. However, I am also someone who struggles to put lists in order. When I am putting together my to-do list and my schedule, I don't always think sequentially. Things don't always come out of my brain in order, and they usually come out on the page in the same mess that they are inside my head, which doesn't do me as much good as it could if it was organized. So all of that to say, but one of the main benefits of digital for me is just gonna be the fact that I can kind of rearrange my to-do list and put it in order. And I can expand it as much as I need it where I need it. I can collapse things, I can move things around. I can copy and paste things. I don't have to just rewrite the same things over and over again. Yeah, it's more convenient, and I think it will serve me better than attempting to do things on, a physical paper planner. And so far it's been pretty good. This hasn't been my first time using Notion. I used it at the end of 2023 and I stopped using it. One of the big reasons I stopped using it was that I was missing a sort of paper record, I suppose, of what I was doing. I felt that that was really missing when I was using only a digital planner, because I don't really review old digital files. I won't look back and reread them, but there are certain things in my planner that I want to review and that I do want to flip back through. And I didn't really feel like I had that when I was doing only a digital planner. So I'm trying to kind of merge those things together right now. So I'm going to be doing my planning digitally in Notion. And then I'm gonna be doing my like daily logging and kind of review stuff in a paper planner. And I'm hoping that with those two things, I will kind of have like all of my bases covered. Like the planning part will happen digitally and that'll just be more convenient. But I'll still have the ability to flip back through things and kind of like review and get a sense of time and just get a feel for like what I've been doing and when I've been doing it. Yeah, so I'm hoping that this will kind of fill that need. This is all fairly new. As with most things I talk about on here, I feel like I'm trying something new kind of every week. But once again, kind of hoping to settle. But this is what I have so far. So I just made a little cover page. I am going to try and decorate this a little bit because I want to enjoy looking back at it. So decorating this is just honestly just kind of for fun, not totally necessary, just for fun, and my own, you know, personal enjoyment. So I have a little cover page that I made, and then I have a basic monthly spread where I kind of just write down like generally what happened throughout the month. So if I worked on a video, I write that down. If there was any kind of like event, I've been marking that down and then highlighting it in yellow. And that's really it. There's not a ton to this monthly spread. I just want to be able to look back at this and get a feel for like what happened and when. So that's what this is. And then I have another kind of like time tracker review thing that I'm also going to be filling out, where I have, once again, just notes about like what happened, and then like hours worked and stuff like that. So that's what this is. And then the big thing that I really want out of this, which is something that I've really been carrying over like all the way from like when I was using my traveler's notebook, is I like this kind of like daily log and review thing. And really all this page is on one side I have just very brief notes about what I did for the day. And on the other side, I have just a really brief summary of how I felt about the day. And I really like keeping it like this because it's very easy for me to keep up with. And it's also just very informative, I guess. It does help me get a sense of time and like what's happened and what I've been doing. So that's what I have here. And then I have a few other things that I'm not sure if I will use or not. I have a little Nat chart for like projects and things that I'm working on. So I may or may not use that. I also think I might like to include some sort of like mood tracker in here or energy tracker, something like that. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, I have a few little check marks over here for each day. And really what that is there's one check mark here for whether or not I did my morning routine. And the morning routine is actually on Notion as well, but I still want to record whether or not I did it here. So I have that. And then the other check mark is whether or not I practiced art for the day. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have in here for now. But yeah, that is pretty much how my planning has been going. Basically shifting most of the actual planning to a digital system. But I still want a physical log, kind of like record of it. I should mention there are still some things that I do like analog. Like I still have like a little scrap paper and to-do list type thing that I keep with me most of the time. But as far as like planning like larger projects and things, I'm kind of moving that to a digital system. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so that is how everything has been changing this week. Once again, I definitely have a desire to kind of stop shuffling around so much. I really want to kind of just find the things that are working and kind of just settle in those things, and not hop around so much. But I think I kind of have things figured out for myself a little bit. I'm hoping that digital planning will go a little bit more smoothly, but I'm not letting go of my, analog keeping. Like I'm still keeping that in this notebook here in my little personal size rings. And then I really, really like my captain's log, but I didn't necessarily like losing like my insert when I was done with it, and I don't want to do that on a monthly basis. So I'm hoping that having just a larger book there will help, and that'll be an easy fix. And then as far as like daily journaling goes, I think I'm kind of ready to just pick a book and commit. Like just pick one book, make it work, and commit, because I've been so scattered, and I think like of everything that I've tried, I think this is my best best option that I have. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with my Midori codex, and that is kind of everything that I have. I have like one other thing that I want to add, though I haven't tried it quite yet. So in addition to my little like analog record keeping in here and daily logging in here, I think I'd also like a kind of like weekly review type book. And I might actually just put that in like a Stalogy notebook or something, but I haven't gotten that far yet. But as far as like the core like analog system that I'm hoping I'm gonna stick with, I think this is it. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit. I'm sure I rambled for way too long. This wasn't an official update or anything, but I feel like things have been changing so often for me. It almost feels like I have a new update every time I sit down to film. But I'm hoping to stop that. How have your journals been going this year? How have your planners been going? Did you settle? Have you settled? Or are you hopping as well? Hopefully you found something that works really well for you. Yeah, so this is what I've got going on at the moment. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.